So 2023,
Yes.
it is here, or almost here at this point. We have, as
Yeah.
we're talking, we have T-minus.
December 21st as we speak.
So we got almost just a little over a week and a half, and it's going to be a new year. So,
Yep.
So today we're going to talk about new year and the idea of like goals. And I think this is a big one because obviously this is a prime time for a lot of people to start setting new goals, New Year's resolutions, and things like that. And so we wanted to come on and talk about our goals, how we think about goals, how we approach goals, and the best ways you can approach goals. Because 9 times out of 10 when people set these goals, especially around this time of the year, they normally fall through.
Yeah.
And that can be for tons and tons of different reasons, whether it's overwhelming, maybe you shot for too much, or you just didn't have the guidance you needed. And so we wanted to talk about that today.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge resolution person. I don't really make a whole lot of like New Year's resolutions, mainly because I kind of assess my goals throughout the year, and I change my goals throughout the year. I'm a person that I really like to have something that I'm striving for. So I don't really necessarily wait until the new year to like try this new thing. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really recommend people have goals, and they can be a variety of intensity, challenging, depth, all tons of variations. If starting it at the new year works best for you, great, do it. I'm not knocking on New Year's resolutions. It's just like we all know they don't last.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, the goals fall into like the resolution categories, but we're really going to talk about how to make some goals and how to approach it.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. Like, that's how I like to see it, is like goals aren't just something you have to wait until the end of the year or beginning of the year.
Yeah.
It's something you can set whenever. I mean, let's see, you decided to do a marathon, and I was like, well, I've always wanted to do one, and I said, let's do it. So I signed up for it. It wasn't something I waited. I was like, end of the year, I'll make the decision.
Yeah, it wasn't like a New Year resolution, I'm going to do a marathon.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm not ready for a marathon yet. I better choose one in next year.
Yeah.
And now that it's kind of getting closer, I'm like, man, maybe I should chosen one like later in the year.
Let's scoot it a little bit farther. But
oh well.
The idea behind that, though, is like, I guess the root of goals, it gives you some drive. So, because sometimes it is hard to come in, to stay healthy, active, and focus on these fitness things, especially if you don't have a vision.
Yeah.
Because you can get bored with it, essentially. Not saying you always have to have a goal, but they do help in that aspect. And that's why I like goals. I even found myself after Wadapalooza qualifiers and stuff like that, and that like stopped, I just kind of started to feel less drive and less want to really focus on my fitness. I was like, okay. And then once I started registering for the marathon and I started dialing things in, the opens around the corner, I was like, okay, now I got some drive. Now I'm like, I want to be here 3-4 times a day, like doing my stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like you said, they're in that, I don't want to say rut because they are working out, but they're working out, but there's really no goal. They just come in every day because they know it's good for them, and that is awesome. That is awesome. But having a goal can be even better. More so mentally than physically, because it gives you, like you said, it gives you the drive, it gives you something to train for, it gives you that extra little motivation on the days where you're just not feeling it. And the big, for me, the goals that I seek now are goals that are challenging and outside of my comfort zone, because the growth that I get in the pursuit of that goal is really what I'm looking for.
Right.
I really don't care that I accomplish the task. It's not about actually finishing the marathon or actually PRing all of my lifts. It's like the struggle and the grind and the uncomfortability that I'm going to go through on the journey to get there than it is actually doing the thing.
No, I agree. And that's slowly where I'm going, because at first I was like, oh, I want to do this.
Yep. Now
I'm starting to find things like I eventually want to do a triathlon. Not because like I want to complete a triathlon. It's more so I want to experience what it's like to do those 3 major events, and the uncomfortability is to do that in one day. Yeah. And so like the same thing with the marathon. Like I was pre-training prior to COVID, so like I have some like marathon training. I remember how uncomfortable it was to run 13 miles almost 2-3 times a week and like do like it's just the training for it is very uncomfortable, but that showed me a whole different idea of like endurance training, and like I grew from it because it gave me such a different insight.
And the cool thing about goals is if you choose different goals, like your path to get there is going to be different, so you will experience different things, right? Like training for the jiu-jitsu competition versus training for a CrossFit competition, training for like a Spartan race or a marathon or a lifting event. Like You're going to experience some different things. It's just going to broaden your experience level in the whole realm of health and fitness.
It really is, yeah.
And that's good. Like, the more things you can experience, you might find something like, hey, I really enjoy this. I want to add this into my fitness routine. Or, nope, I did that, hated it, check the box. I'm never doing that again. That was a cool experience, but I'm out.
Yeah.
And you start to learn these different things. So when we're talking about goals, step one is you have to take some time and, like, figure out what it is.
Yeah. You have to pick something that you want to do, not what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah. It's got to be something that you want to do or that you want to do because you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the first thing is, like, you got to quantify it. Write it down. And it could be like, hey, I'm doing a marathon. I signed up for this one. Sweet. Or it could be, my goal is to get to CrossFit class 3 days a week. Or my goal is to not eat sugar 7 days a week. Whatever it is, like, quantify it.
Yeah.
I don't like goals that are vague and unquantifiable.
Yeah.
Like, in the year 2023, I'm going to start working out.
Okay.
Great. How many days a week?
Yeah.
What are you going to do for a workout? Where are you going to go? Like, make it very specific so it's a yes or no. Like, did I do it? Did I not do it?
And that's exactly what you said. Like, that specificity is like a big one. Because if
Yeah.
you keep it too broad, you're gonna get loose on yourself.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, you're just gonna start to like, oh well, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I didn't set a date. I'll
Yeah,
do it
there's
tomorrow.
no, like,
do it next year.
Yeah, I can still do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come up with a goal. I'm a fan of either writing it down, putting it on social media, or telling people that you know are going to keep you accountable. So when you come up with your goal, write it down and tell people that are going to keep you accountable. If you tell someone you're going to do something, you're more likely to do it because you got that little, like, oh crap, I put it out there. Like, everybody knows this is my goal now. So
They're gonna
now
check on you.
I got to do it. So that's where I would start. That's step one. Like, figure out what it is you want to do, complete whatever you want to change, whatever task you want to do. Write it down. Start telling people.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge step because, like, even now, I think I've told my kids, I've told, friends, family that I'm doing a marathon. And so now it's just like,
it's
now
real. It's like, oh, I got to do it now.
I started running 2 days ago.
Yep.
And so now it's like I'm starting to train for it. And so, like, because I can start to feel like not a pressure, but just something there like, hey, you need to kind of start doing something about this. And it does. It makes a big difference. You start to get that little push that you might have not had. So, yeah, absolutely, I agree. That's a huge first step is finding something, getting specific with a number. I like that idea. As a number is very, very big, whether it's a date, whether it's a certain amount of days, whatever that is, that really starts to put a constraint on things. So you can tell yourself you did it or you didn't do it. It puts a pass-fail on things.
Yeah, and where I'm at in my journey, I'm a fan of goals that you are not comfortable with, that scare you a little bit, that push you outside your limits, that you're not even sure are possible. Like, I have the goal of PRing my bench press, deadlift, back squat, and strict press in the same week I do the marathon, and my marathon goal is sub 4 hours. I don't know if that's possible, to be completely honest. I don't know if I'm going to accomplish any of those things.
Right.
But my training for the next 4 months, I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I'm going to start running a lot more. I'm going to start lifting a lot heavier. I'm going to see how close to that goal I can get. Even if I don't hit that goal, I'm going to be a lot stronger than I was before. And my running's going to be way better than it was before. So even if you, like, again, the goal isn't necessarily like, the goal of the goal isn't to pass. The goal of the goal is the journey that you're spending getting there.
No, absolutely.
So that like, I love choosing goals that are like, oh boy, I'm not sure I'm going to do this, but we're going to give her hell. That's me. Not everybody has to choose that, but your goal should push you a little bit. If it's
absolutely.
really comfortable, really easy, choose something harder.
Yeah.
There's no growth in doing something that's really, really comfortable. Like, if you already come to the gym 5 days a week, you're like, okay, my goal is to come to the gym 5 days a week.
We're already doing that.
You're already doing that. Like, let's make something harder. Let's make it 6 days a week.
Or maybe
let's add in a nutrition component.
Yeah.
Let's add in, like, something else. Something else.
No, actually. And
Once you have your goal, what's the next steps?
Well, you have to come up with a plan.
Yep. Bingo.
I think that's usually where a lot of people start to fall off because, one, they might just not know how to do it. And that's where, like, us as a gym is a great resource.
Yes.
We want to help you with those goals, whether it is to do a marathon, whether it is to just get strong, whether it is to, lose body fat. We want to help you. So sometimes it does help seeking an expert.
Yeah.
Someone who knows what they're doing, because just setting a goal, putting a number to it, might not get you where you want to be.
Right.
Because you might need some guidance because you just don't have the answers to things. But even then, setting a plan, if you do know how to get there, you got to set it up in some type of way. Are you just going to wait till the last day to go run a marathon?
Yeah, not a chance.
I would presume that's not the case. So you're going to come up with some type of training plan, whatever that looks like.
Yep.
And that's whether that's based off of you or someone else. You have that plan. Okay, I'm starting in this month. For me, this month is I'm starting like with a mile or two, and then January I'm gonna start putting up to 3 to 5 miles, and I'm gonna start to gradually increase my mileage over time.
Yep.
So, but I have a plan of how that looks. I'm not just like, well, today, I'm going to run 20 miles and say, see how it goes.
I'm going to run the marathon. Yeah, exactly. There needs to be a plan, and depending on what your goal is will depend on what that plan looks like. It doesn't have to be extremely structured, but you should still have a guidance, a North Star, a general outline of what you're going to do to get to that goal.
Yeah.
And break it down as much or as little as you need to, and as in-depth or as vague as you need to. Again, depending on what your goal is and what you need as an individual. Some people do better with structure. Like, hey, here's what you're going to do every other day, for 6 months, whatever. Other people, it's like, hey, just get this amount of work done within the week whenever you need to. It all depends on you as an individual. But there needs to be some form of a plan.
Yeah.
And you nailed it on the head. Like, if you know how to do that and you know what you need to do to get there, great. Plan it out. Write it in a journal, a notebook, make a Google document, whatever you need to do, follow it. If you don't have a plan, you're like, I don't even know where to start, come to us. Between me, you, and Ken, we have a pretty wide knowledge base of health and fitness, and if we don't know something, we will find somebody that does.
Absolutely.
Big time. So step one, figure out what your plan is, write it down, tell some people, or better yet, post it on social media. And then once you have that, come up with a plan, either on your own, with a coach, with some friends, whatever it is, and let's come up with some quantifiable measure of how we're going to achieve the goal.
Yeah. I mean, that's the grand scheme of things. And from there, just put it into action.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's the purpose of it is to give you some motivation, to have a North Star in your training, to try something different, and just to push yourself. For me, just working out for the sake, I love working out. I will work out to the day I die, even if I have 0 goals. I don't need a goal to train because I actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy training, so it's not hard for me. But I still like having goals because it makes me do things I wouldn't if I didn't have that. I wouldn't go run as much as I'm going to if I didn't sign up for a marathon.
No, absolutely.
I just do the CrossFit workouts that I love doing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good things that come out of having a goal.
Yeah.
You just got to take the time to come up with it and come up with a plan.
Yeah, and I like what you mentioned though. It gives you gateways for new experiences. Yeah. And that's something that's cool. Like some YouTubers, and you know who they are, Buttery Bros. But what they're doing right now is they go around Ninja, whatever it is, Ninja.
Yes, Warrior.
Ninja Warrior.
Ninja Warrior.
And they go to Strongman. They go right now they're going around just different bunch of fitness influencers and people who do different things. And their goal is just to show you different avenues of training.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And what's cool about that is that's kind of what comes out of your goals. If your goal is marathon, your training is going to be really oriented around a lot of endurance-based things. Running.
Yep.
So with that kind of training, you start to learn a new training. Maybe you love it. Cool. Maybe you start to incorporate that in your daily regimen or weekly regimen. Maybe you absolutely hate it. You're like, yeah, I'll never do this again. Cool. You learned that. You don't like it.
So I'm anticipating.
Absolutely. But it still pushes you to try those things that you wouldn't try normally.
Exactly.
Same goes jiu-jitsu. Same goes for Spartan races. You're going to start to train things that you might love or hate, but it still made you do it. And that's the cool thing about it is it gives you new experiences. It makes you embrace the uncomfortable, and it gives you growth.
Yeah, yeah. And it can be a New Year's resolution. It doesn't have to be. But pick something. Like everybody should seriously have something in the year 2023 that they're going to try. It doesn't have to be health and fitness related. It could be reading X amount of books. It could be trying a cooking class. It could be finally quitting the job that you hate and going to a new job. Something that is a little scary to think about.
Yeah.
So other than the marathon, do you have any other goals that you're looking looking at, or is that the big one right now?
That's my big one right now. That's my like spring one. I usually like to pick 2 mega ones, like where it's like spring, fall. But I definitely want to do another competition-based one. So whether that's jiu-jitsu, whether that is doing CrossFit, or even dabbling back in powerlifting. I have competed in powerlifting, but doing some type of competition, but maybe something different.
Yeah.
And then I definitely want to do a trifecta in one weekend.
For Spartan race?
Yeah, I just want to knock it out and see how it feels.
I like it. I like it. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, but oh man, I lost the thought there. Darn it, it just went and it was gone. One last thing is like with goals too, is there is different kind of goals. And when you look at these goals, if it's to accomplish a task, meaning that you want to compete or complete an event, cool. If it's something that you're trying to alter in your day-to-day life.
Yes.
So I think this is a good important thing to talk about, because a lot of people, when it comes to New Year's resolution, is they're just like, I want to lose weight, which is awesome. I love that. We're ready to attack. It's a new year. Cool. We got through the holidays. Let's start attacking those things, which is great. But I think when we look at those kind of goals, a big thing about those is creating necessary habits too, which can be a little bit different when it comes to like training specifically for an event. Like a marathon, you're going to get the habit of running, but maybe if you don't like the marathon, you're done once it's over. Whereas like if you're trying to lose weight, you have to create habits that are going to help you along those goals to get that 20 pounds, 30 pounds loss, but it's also going to help you sustain that loss after. And so when we look at structuring that goal, we have the same concepts. We still want to write it down, tell people, we want to quantify it. But on top of that, we want to make a plan, and we also want to, with that plan, create habits that are going to help us sustain those results. Because that is the biggest one I've seen. Whether it's someone's like, I'm going to do keto this year, and they get on keto, they crush it, they get off of it, and they gain another 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds, whatever it is. Or, they crush it for like a month and a half, they've lost 10 pounds, they're like, I'm over this. And then it's like, and they go back, and I see a lot of regression that happens with those. And a lot of it's just because they sit there and hammer down, starve themselves, and, do a bunch, and they don't have habits after that. It's just like, well, let's go back to what I was doing previously. And it just doesn't work that way.
And that's where like having that plan in place is really big, because that's a good point. You pick a goal, hey, I want to lose weight. Cool, how much? 20 pounds. Boom, we got it on there. Or I want to get stronger. Okay, what lifts? Back squat and bench press. Cool, by how many pounds? I want to PR by 20 pounds each lift. Cool. Now we have our end goal, and then we can backtrack from there. So it's usually like, okay, what needs to be true for you to lose 20 pounds? Or what needs to be true for you to gain 20 pounds on your deadlift and back squat, or whatever I said, bench press and back squat, whatever. And then we can start building the plan kind of in reverse. Like, okay, to lose weight, I need to stop eating fast food. I need to stop eating this amount of carbs. I need to stop drinking the pop. I need to add more protein to my diet, whatever it is. And then we'll come all the way down to, okay, here's how we're going to start eating. The first step, we're going to take away pop, replace with water. Boom. And then we can move to the next step. But at least we have the guideline laid out for what needs to happen to get there. Right? So I think with the lift, you're like, okay, right now you're just doing a lot of cardio. You're not bench pressing and back squatting a lot. So 2 days a week, here's the plan. We're going to start benching and back squatting. And then from there, we're going to add it to 3 or 4 days a week, and then we'll progress. So that's having that like structured plan
is huge.
Because you just saying you want to do something and then like, I'm going to try to figure it out. It's not going to work. Not going to work.
No, absolutely. And that's where, when it comes to like these New Year's resolutions, these goals, make sure you have a plan.
That's what happens.
That's what happens. That's why they sink.
That's
why they sink or they don't stick, is because you don't have that plan. So take your time, set a goal, quantify it, write out a plan. If you don't know how to write the plan or don't know how to approach it, find someone.
And have fun with it. Like, again, it's okay if you don't achieve your goal. It's okay. Just have fun with it. Learn some things along the way, fail, get back up, try something different, and you will be a better person because of it.
That's how you, like, the grand scheme of things, like looking at athlete, that's how you become a better athlete. You practice. You practice, you fail. You practice, you fail. You get better. You compete. You practice, you fail. You practice.
Get outside of your bubble. Get outside of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. So, anything else on goals, resolutions? That's a wrap. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. Not that kind of wrap. But that's a wrap on this episode, and that's a wrap on 2022. So by the time you hear this episode, we'll more likely be heading into 2023.
Yeah, buddy.
So start setting goals, start getting after it. And if you guys need help or guidance, let us know, and we'll come help you.
Peace.